Hey everybody, welcome to the Have You Ever Played podcast, the only podcast that takes you on a journey through the world of gaming from classics to the latest releases. Join us as we explore the stories behind your favorite games and discover new ones along the way. That intro is brought to you by the Bing chatbot. That's probably the most professional and non-accurate description of the podcast yet.
Yeah, that
I'm
definitely
Matt,
sounded
aka Matt
like
Fondude.
I'm James, aka James O4E, and that intro definitely sounded like it was written by a human being.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell it was couldn't tell it was written by an AI at all.
Yeah, I couldn't even muster the creativity to come up with some dumb 10-second intro this week. We're just gonna get right into it.
Oh boy.
Uh, so James, how has your week been?
My week has been good. So unlike other weeks, there was a Dota patch this week.
Oh
And
yeah, we can talk all about it.
yeah, so basically with Dota for a few years, it's been in the game hasn't had super huge changes like full like system reworks and things like that. Like there have been some new systems. Some things have been like added, some things have been removed, but not like what people typically expect from a Dota patch. Because Dota is very well known for having these huge patches that take you like 4 hours to read. Um, and this one was different because this is probably the biggest patch they've ever dropped for the game, like literally ever. And the game's 20 years old, so that's a pretty big deal.
So what are the major features that are changed in the newest patch?
Yeah, there's a lot. So first thing that's most important is the map is roughly 40% bigger. They
Oh
added a
my
bunch of
god.
terrain on the outer edges that have jungle camps. They have some new objectives. They also moved the Roshan pit. Roshan is like the big boss that teams fight over. It's like Baron in League. They added two Roshan pits, and what Roshan does is when it switches between day and night, he moves from one pit to another, and he does this by using these things called the twin gates, which are these gates that can teleport you from one end of the map to the other if you channel it for a few seconds. And the really funny thing about that is that Roshan just gets up, leaves his pit. Anytime he walks into somebody, he stuns them and knocks them back. And he
Oh
just
god.
goes through the portal. So, and he doesn't care if you're like trying to do Roshan at the time or anything. Like, if you're doing Roshan and it hits day or night, he will just walk out and like chain stun your team and just leave.
That's kind of an interesting mechanic.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. Let's see what else. So there's these things called Lotus pools, basically on the sides of the two side lanes. There are these pools that spawn these lotuses that just give you some health and mana when you use them. You can stack them up because one will spawn every 3 minutes. You basically can stack them up and make better lotuses that'll heal you for more. And just as the game goes on, they kind of start stacking up as people forget about them in late game. You can just get a big healing lotus.
Hmm.
Then they added an objective called the Tormentors near each team's base. And basically, at 20 minutes, they spawn. They have this big barrier shield on them. So they don't have actual health, they have a barrier instead. And that barrier regens at a really fast rate. And additionally, anytime you do damage to the barrier, it reflects 70% of the damage that is done in an AoE around it. And it's dispersed between all the people in the AoE. So you physically cannot solo this. You actually need to like get your team and say, like, hey, let's do this. And lots of supports have unfortunately lost their lives in the battle against the tormentors with their team because their team will be doing all this massive damage and they're sitting here like, oh boy, my carry's damage is getting dispersed onto me. It's really funny. um but when you kill it, thankfully the sports get compensated, so everybody gets golden XP just like any other killable objective in the game. But it also gives you an item called an Aghanim Shard, which is basically just an upgrade for one of your abilities, and it'll give it to one of the two lowest net worth characters on your team. So the supports that just nearly died to it will actually get rewarded, thankfully.
Hmm.
Then they added these things called Watchers, which, oh god, I'm reading the description right now. So these patch notes, they're actually really well written. I think they got somebody who did like the TF2 patch notes before to write these because they're really funny. But
What are those ancient texts you speak of? The TF2 patch notes?
oh
You
yeah,
mean
that game.
localizing data files or adding more localization files?
Yeah, what the hell? That game had patches. That's crazy.
Hey, what are you talking? What is this Team Fortress 2 you speak of?
Yeah. Oh my god. But basically, on the map, there are these things called watchers, which are these neutral wards, basically, that when you channel them for a second and a half, you'll capture it and it'll just give you a vision over the area that they're in. And the enemy team can channel it back and just destroy it, and it'll spawn again in 7 minutes. And it's just since the map has gotten bigger, it takes a little bit of the pressure off supports toward everywhere. Because obviously, you can't control everything when the map has gotten so much bigger. There'll be places where people will inevitably be able to go away from where you can afford to get vision. So that's really nice. They added these things called defenders gates, which is basically in each base there's a little gate that only people from that team can enter or exit through. And so it just means that if you're trapped in your base, you at least have a way to like get out if you
Hmm.
need to like go to an objective or something like that, or if you want to get like farm in the jungle. Then they added 2 new runes. One's called a wisdom rune. It just spawns every 7 minutes, and it just gives XP. So it's for basically for the supports. While they're roaming around, they just pick up a wisdom rune and they get a little bit of XP. And then shield runes just give you a barrier that is worth 50% of your max HP for like 70 seconds. And one of the big themes of this patch is that Dota added like shields, because previously it was one of the few MOBAs that didn't really have that.
Hmm.
Then I'm not going to go through all the hero changes because that would take, again, we'd be here for 4 hours. These are long patch notes. But main highlights, it just added a new attribute called Universal, which is basically they don't really have a primary attribute. Previously, characters would get 1 damage for each point they would get in their primary attribute, but Universal heroes get 0.6 damage for each point of any stat. They reworked Black King Bar, which is like the spell immunity item in the game. Basically, the main thing is that uh, magic damage spells can pierce it now, but you just have a lot of magic resistance. And if somebody hits you with a stun during your BKB, and the stun ends before the BKB duration or after the BKB duration ends, then they'll just be stunned at the end of their BKB. So like if you have 2 seconds left on your BKB and somebody hits you with a 3 second stun, you'll just get hit with a 1 second stun as soon as it ends,
Hmm.
which is really goofy to look at sometimes. Because it'll be like a skill shot or something, and you'll hit it and it'll have like no impact, and then when the BKB ends, they're just disabled.
Weird. Um. So it seems to me, as someone who doesn't really play that game, um, they made it even less accessible to new
Yes.
players, but they added a lot of depth for people who already play the game. So hopefully, maybe have you played it at all? Is it out?
Yeah, I've played it a bit. It's been out for about a week.
What's your
Um,
thought? Do you prefer it to the old map and the old playstyle? Is it good? Is it a good
yeah,
update?
I think it's definitely preferred. The main thing that I notice is like people are more they talk, and they're not as big of jerks, because like they I think it's like all the new objectives made people kind of realize like, wow, I actually need to like coordinate with my team or I just lose. Because
Hmm.
it's like if you want to take the tormentor, you physically can't do it alone. Like the small stuff like that is like really helpful for getting people to actually coordinate.
I wonder if it's just a symptom of it being so new that not a lot of people know the meta right
Hmm.
now. So I think a lot of the toxicity may come from people watching pro play and
Yeah.
knowing things, but being frustrated that when they're in like a casual setting, why aren't people playing like pros and doing the pro thing? And
Hmm.
why aren't people being optimal? Whereas I guess right now maybe it's kind of still new for a lot of people, so they're still kind of trying new things.
Hmm.
Do you think the push toward more cooperative play is a good thing? Because I know Overwatch, going using my frame of reference, I think kind of pushed away from I think some of that team play stuff. Well, maybe I mean in competitive you still need team play, but I think a lot of games focus on that solo queue experience.
Hmm.
Because sometimes you just want to play a match. Although with Dota, it's like if you want to play a match, you're committing like an hour, so it's maybe a
Yeah.
different vibe.
Yeah. I think the pace of the game being different makes it a little easier to swallow, because like in Overwatch, right, you need to communicate all these like crazy tiny things like these 1 second windows and stuff like that. Whereas in Dota, it's more macro stuff that you actually need to communicate on. So I think it is a little easier to ask people in solo queue to coordinate in a game like Dota than it would be in a game like Overwatch. Um, there was one other thing that I want to talk about from this patch. Oh, actually, two things. So normally the Dota patches are scheduled around pro tournaments and stuff like that, so the patches doesn't drop right before a tournament or right in the middle of it. They didn't do that this time. So about a month ago, they said, "Yeah, guys, the patch is coming in late April." And then everybody's like, "Well, wait. There's a major in late April. You can't do that." So
Oh,
they just decided to drop it like 6 days before the major, I think.
so are they going to be playing this version of the game at the
Oh, they already
major?
are. The major started 2 days ago, and
Oh,
there was an online tournament going on. It was like a Dream League tournament, and they dropped the patch right before the playoffs started.
huh.
And so it's funny that you mentioned people like watching pro play because people are watching the pros and none of them know what they're doing.
Yeah, it's
Literally,
so new.
everybody's
That's
yeah,
crazy. That must
everybody's so
suck if
confused.
you trained like all of your time on one certain way, and then the patch comes out, changes everything.
Well, yeah, the general sentiment among pros is they're actually fine with it because there hasn't been a major patch like this in a while.
Yeah, it gets people in the game, eyeballs on
Yeah.
the game. I would assume that's good for pros. More eyeballs means more tournaments and more funding, and
Hmm.
more people playing their
Yeah.
game.
And it's just goofy to watch. Like people don't know what they're doing, so they're just running around and brawling just randomly.
Do you
And
think it'll actually get? That's the thing, though. Like to me, it sounds like the game got even more complicated. I
hmm
can't really imagine this would draw new players into the game.
yeah, I so from what some Valve devs have said previously, they don't like doing these kinds of patches very often for that exact reason. It's not very good for new players. And so I think what they're probably thinking is they'll do this once every few years. And this won't necessarily cause an influx of new players, but it will help retain the current players as they get more accustomed to what they're playing and want something new. So
Yeah, I
I
can.
don't know. I personally think this is going to make it a lot harder for new players, but I also don't know how that will change over time because for all I know, maybe like the watchers are just really good. Like new players don't need to know about warding as much anymore. Or like the wisdom runes, new players won't fall behind in levels as much anymore. Like stuff like that. So you never know.
I think it's probably. I would assume with Dota. I think Dota bills itself as like. I feel like the tutorial for Dota is playing League of Legends for a long time, and then being like, I want to play something more complicated, and then you play
Yeah.
Dota. Um, because Dota seems like a game that the people who enjoy it, if they were to make it more accessible and dumb it down in some ways, the core audience would not like that.
hmm
So they're catering toward the players they already have and who already enjoy it, which I don't know how sustainable that is, but I mean it's Dota. They'll throw infinity dollars into it because it's Valve. So I don't
Yeah.
think you have to worry about it going anywhere. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
I think it's also interesting that you mentioned League because lots of these mechanics that they added are actually like League things, like
Y-
the twin gates to take you across the map, the shields, stuff like that. So I actually think it's interesting. Maybe they're thinking we may not necessarily get new players who haven't played a MOBA before, but there might be some new players who are transferring from an other MOBA. Maybe have experience and they want more things that they can latch onto to maybe make the transition period a little easier.
Yeah, I noticed that. It is funny
Hmm
that Dota is taking a lot of these League of Legends aspects, and it does start to feel, and almost it is also kind of funny that Dota kind of has like the worst version of some of the other league stuff. Like they also have a Netflix show which I haven't seen, but no one seems to care or talk about it. As
hmm
opposed to like Arcane, and I feel like they want their characters to become these cool like icons that people talk about and care about, but I feel like League characters are, I don't know, people enjoy them more, and they'll enjoy the League third party weird stuff more. They're,
hmm
the um the Riot Games, which is also kind of weird to think about because Riot Games is also just taking things from other successful franchises and like Blizzard. a bunch with their Valorant and
Mhm.
all these games. Valorant's a weird game too. Have you
Yeah.
played Valorant
Yeah,
at all?
I've played
Like
Valorant before. It
I,
is
I did it like when it came out, but I haven't. Have
mhm.
you played it recently at all? Do you have any care about that
No,
game?
last time I played it was like 2 years ago maybe. It was okay. I'm just not into that kind of shooter, really.
Yeah, me neither. Like, I would rather. So it's like it's a mix between CS:GO and Overwatch, and it's like when
Mhm.
I want to play either of those games, I'd rather just play pure one of those things. I don't want. I don't want a hybrid.
Mhm.
Kind of a weird. I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't
I,
know. Riot is always a special case when comparing to other studios, at least from my experience, because they're just ahead of the game. One of my friends describes it as they have gallons of unicorn blood to spare.
oh yeah, no, they have
Yeah.
infinity bucks as well. So it's a
Hmm.
battle of who has the most infinity bucks.
Yeah.
And right now, it seems like Riot uh with their games, with their interesting character design. At least when Valorant came out, the characters who's like, who's this skull guy? It's like his name is like Creeper, and he uses wraith form and shoots his gun like. And
Creeper.
we have a character called like Percy. She can heal people. And it's just like, okay, this is weird. It's not
Yeah.
that bad. I can't imagine one. It wasn't ever that blatant. It was a little silly. Some of the character designs. I feel
Hmm.
like nowadays they probably found their own thing.
Yeah,
But
definitely. I think Riot characters are a lot more lively than some other games, which is one thing I noticed. Like Dota characters in comparison, like they're actually very like dark. They're not
yeah,
they don't like jump out at you. It's more like I actually
do you
don't
know
know.
what
I
it
don't
is?
quite know how to describe it.
DC versus Marvel. DC is
Oh
Dota.
god.
Marvel is like League of Legends.
Oh god.
It kind of makes sense, like the goofier League of Legends stuff and whatever,
Hmm.
brighter, colorful, yelling in your face, versus like the come on, take us seriously Dota. Although Dota also has like Ogre Magi and random
Hmm.
goofy ass characters too. But
It's funny that you mentioned Ogre Magi because they reworked him in this patch, and the crux of the rework is that so he's a strength hero instead of an intelligence hero, and his intelligence stat is always at 0. It cannot be increased.
based amazing.
And I read
That
that
was
just like damn.
the one character I actually legitimately did have fun on. It's just the casino character. Just you can
Hmm.
sometimes. I love the fact that it's just sometimes you'll crit. I don't know. He's like the Nine Hammer
Yeah.
from Mr. Game and Watch of characters.
Hmm.
That's a funny character.
Yeah. So one last thing from the patch notes that I would want to highlight. They changed how they do matchmaking now, where before for ranked they would use an elo system. Now they use Glicko. Don't ask me what that means.
Glicko. All right, we got to
The
figure that
s-
out. I'll Google it
so
while you look it
the
up. Talk.
I looked at the wiki page. It's a lot of equations, but
Glicko?
the short of it is that with elo you'll lose or gain a static amount of MMR. It's just about whether you win or lose. Whereas with Glicko, it'll analyze a bunch of other factors like the MMR average of both teams, your what they refer to as rank confidence, which is basically how confident they are that you belong in this tier and stuff like that. And they also have some stuff where it's like if you haven't played for a while, your rank confidence will go down, so you won't get like as hard matches. They'll like ease you back in a little bit. And how the calibration system works now, because everybody had to recalibrate since the new system. Uh, Basically, once your rank confidence gets to 30%, then you'll get your rank. But before that, you're basically just playing games where they'll kind of put you around in different tiers and feel out where you really are. Um, in my personal experience, I've played like 20 games and I'm still not even at 30% rank confidence. I'm at like 20%. So it's like
Oh wow. Can you
two.
actually see your percentage?
Yeah, yeah, you can see your percentage.
Oh wow. Okay, that's interesting. That's very transparent. I guess.
Hmm.
I'm sure there's hidden stats.
Yeah, it's actually funny. So there's a whole new menu for looking at your stats and like rank and like all your games. And there are a bunch of tabs that you can like turn on and off. And one tab is called rank change. And what it would do is it would show you how much MMR you're winning and losing for each game. And the problem that Valve ran into was that people could see it before they were calibrated. So what you would see is oh, I got plus 170 for this win, whereas normally you get like plus minus 25. Then I got minus 300 for this loss.
Oh my god.
If people were looking at it like hosting out, like, damn, this rank system's brutal. and then they
Yeah.
just and then they set it so that if you haven't calibrated yet, your rank change in that tab will just show up as 0.
Okay. That's good. Um, I'm appreciating all these games. Like Overwatch is actually trying to do that with a similar system where they're trying to redefine these ranked systems and figure out like better matchmaking.
Mhm.
Problem with better matchmaking is it's slower to find games, especially if
Yeah.
there's like less player base. But like there's a balance between quality of game and queue time. Like I remember playing Overwatch 2 at one point, or Overwatch, and the queue times were like 15-minute queues,
Mhm.
which was not for like quick play, which is like so stupid. Um,
Yeah.
but
And
it seems to be in a good state ish right now.
yeah. Yeah, but what I think a couple like highlights about the system is helps a lot with smurfing because if a smurf is just rolling all their games, they'll like skyrocket. It also helps with keeping keeping boosted players out of the higher tiers. Because
Nice.
if you just start losing and playing like just awfully, you'll just get booted out. And actually, speaking of higher tiers, they made a change to the essentially the grandmaster rank, where instead of the game balancing the teams for you, the highest MMR player or the two highest MMR players in the lobby will get to draft their teammates.
Oh wow.
So it's like middle school dodgeball. You say I want this guy on my team, and then somebody's inevitably going to get picked last, and they'll feel bad.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's no bad feelings or toxicity involved in picking at all. I'm sure that probably is very smooth and good.
Yeah, and the funniest thing about it though, and the thing that kind of counteracts that, is that your MMR gain and loss are still based off of the balance of these teams. So if you get yourself a stacked team, you're going to gain like 10 MMR for the win, but lose like 100 for the loss. So you actually have to tactically choose.
That's
Maybe I should pick this really low rank guy so I can like not lose a bunch of MMR if I lose, or gain a bunch of MMR if I win.
I feel like Dota is a game for people who love analytics and love
Yeah.
numbers and number go up, number go down. It tickles a spot for people. It is not my scene. I
Hmm.
think I have that with like like a grindy game or something. I get like in RuneScape, like I got the big drop. I killed the monster and got the big drop, big number. But this like the MOBA, like I don't know, just the joy in complexity
Hmm.
is not appealing to me.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm glad that you're. Wait, so here's the big question: is it fun?
Uh, yes, it is. It is very fun actually.
Okay.
I've had a pretty good time with my games. I won a lot of them, so that probably impacts it. But
Uh,
I think generally the stuff in the patch has been really cool. I think even in like games that are quote unquote lost, I think there's a lot more avenues to actually come back into the game because since the map is so much bigger, you don't get choked out in the same way.
Do you think the map size makes the games longer or shorter, or does it not
It
affect them at
it
all?
definitely makes them longer. Um,
Longer than 50 minutes?
well, so higher level games usually wouldn't go quite that long because people know win conditions better. But I do see like yesterday I had a 70-minute game, and then the day before I had a 76-minute game. Like those definitely do happen. But I think my average game length outside of those has been roughly 30 minutes.
Do you think they're gonna come up with a like an ARAM sort of from League, like all middle, all random? Oh no, you told me there's like Blitz,
Yeah.
right? There's like a Blitz mode,
There's a turbo mode, and there's also a
turbo.
mode called overthrow, which is basically just it's like a multi-team in Halo kind of.
Oh, okay. So there are modes.
Yeah.
Do they have an auto chess yet?
Um wait, like auto, like do you mean they bring auto chess back, or
Is there an auto chess game mode in Dota?
Dota was where the original auto chess was, but there was a so the people who made auto chess wanted to like get licensing or something, so they went and made their own game. And I don't know if the auto chess custom game is still there.
Oh,
I
okay.
think there might be
So
like remakes and stuff like that, but I haven't really checked for it.
so League kind of ate their lunch on that one
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
Yikes. Big yikes. All right, we talked enough about Dota 2, I think, for
Yep.
this week's edition. What else have you been up to?
Yeah, besides Dota, I've been playing some Deep Rock Galactic once again. I so every time I play, there's like a new friend that wants to play it. So we're just in a cycle of always introducing somebody new to the game.
Oof.
And so we haven't actually made any progress like on our own games. Me and like the friend who I always play with. So we're only on like the eighth mission, maybe.
Yeah, I
But
don't
yeah, it's
remember
been
how that game is even structured mission wise.
yeah, but it's been fun, definitely. I've
Still
been
rocking Driller.
yep, I've been leveling up my driller. I think I'm level 11 now,
When do
something
you
like
get
that.
the other weapons for the characters?
I have no clue. I haven't gotten them yet.
Okay. Keep me posted because there's different weapons you can get, and I would like
Hmm.
to. I'm curious of your opinion on which ones you like. I think all the driller weapons are pretty fun.
Yeah, and I've just been
Um,
chilling with the flamethrower. I really want to get the thing where the flamethrower like damages enemies all around you or something. I know
mhm.
it's gonna be extremely troll because I'll just kill my teammates, but it sounds fun, so I want to do it.
Yeah, that game is cool. That
Hmm.
game has energy of Monster Hunter to me, like that
Hmm.
mission based. I love that. I actually really like that mission based gameplay in certain games. Mission based grindy collect.
Hmm.
Weird that you'd think I would like Warframe a lot more than I do, and I don't think Warframe. I don't like Warframe that much. Um,
Hmm.
but games like Patapon use that system. Monster Hunter obviously
Yeah.
uses that system. I don't know. Have you ever played a Monster Hunter game?
Yeah. I played Monster Hunter World.
Oh, cool. What did you? How far did you get in that?
I think I completed the game the first time. I don't remember exactly how it worked. I think you were supposed to
Hmm.
finish it multiple times or
Well, you
something.
beat the game, like the main storyline. Then there's the whole like post game, and then
Yeah,
there's
yeah, yeah.
DLC.
Yeah, I actually so I technically beat the game twice because I had it on PS4 initially. I played that, and then I got it on PC, and I did like literally the exact same thing.
Yeah,
But yeah, I haven't done the post game stuff yet. But yeah, it was really fun.
yeah.
It-
World was cool.
yeah.
I always have a weird issue with those games with multiplayer. I like to play those games single player for the most part, and maybe I would do it like co-op. But I had a
Hmm.
friend group who all got into that game. It was their first Monster Hunter game, and they all got into it at the same time. And Monster Hunter World has one of the most kind of bad examples of. Do you know games that have this is probably a question we could talk about. Games that have DLC items in them when you start the game, you turn it on and you
Hmm.
have the OP DLC stuff, but
Oh yeah.
it gets sorted into your regular inventory so you don't realize that.
Hmm.
Um so I like to use the blast uh affinity or whatever, like the blast effect or slime. I don't remember what it's called in World, but it's the one that
Hmm.
you could once you hit something enough, it'll apply blast and they blow up. Um so in that game, there's something called the Defender set,
Hmm.
where there's the Defender
Oh.
armor and the Defender weapon. And you look at it, and it's like the best weapon and the best armor. It's so easy to craft. And I'm like, oh wow, that's pretty good. I'm gonna use this set. So I was playing the game at one point, and I had played other Monster Hunter games before.
Hmm.
So I'm running around, and it keeps saying like this armor was nullified, or this attack was nullified due to your armor, and I was like one shotting everything. I was like, "What is this?" And I googled it, and yeah, the Defender set exists in the game, so you can speed run the entire campaign to get to the DLC. Which is cool, I guess, for people who
Yeah.
bought it like you did all across multiple platforms. But all of my friends who never played a Monster Hunter game, all were using that set, and they didn't realize it, and they were playing 4 player only. So
Hmm.
whenever they would try anything by themselves, they would immediately die and then get really upset because they had literally no ability because they were just one-shotting everything, and they were also a group of 4 people,
Hmm.
just destroying. So I was telling them like, "Hey, you guys should probably." Well, one, also it kind of ruins the whole upgrading system because you're like you're not actually grinding for better armor and different. You're not learning about. It's kind of like the Drake sword of Dark Souls 1.
Yeah.
where in Dark Souls 1, as you remember, there's a sword you can get that basically will carry you through the entire early game, but it does not scale and you can't upgrade it basically. So by the
Hmm.
time you get to late game, it'll make you bad at the game because you won't engage with any systems to make you good. Um, but yeah, all of them were using it, so like none of them. And also, if you got to the DLC with that, good luck because now you're playing the real game. Now you're playing like the post game, and you have no idea how to base like basic concepts of the game. Um, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the defender armor because I actually did end up accidentally using that when
I
I
think
first
everyone
played.
does because
Yeah,
it's
and I
good.
was like, damn, this game is so easy. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like I actually found out because I looked up a guide. So I wanted to know like what weapons I should be looking for and stuff. And they said, and I think at the end of the video they said, okay, all this doesn't matter if you have the defender armor to speed run the game.
Yeah, no, it exists to speed run the main story to get to the DLC faster.
Yeah.
Um, it may, but they don't really tell you that anywhere. It's just kind of, and I think a lot of people probably fell into that. And World is a lot of people's first game, and I really do think it makes you worse at the game. And I would get kind of
Hmm.
annoyed at my friends because they were using it, but that is kind of one of those positions that's hard to be like, no, you're playing the game wrong. You have to play it the harder way. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Yeah, I
it's kind
definitely
of
understand what you mean.
you're kind of an asshole for bringing it up, but at the same time, you know, well, this is actually what happened is they all got to the end of the game, they all dropped the game. So they all got to Iceborne, which I haven't actually played Iceborne. I got to Iceborne. I was like, all right,
Hmm.
guys, I'm waiting for you guys to get here, and they all dropped the game. So yeah, and then they all played
Yeah.
Rise, and I bought Rise, and I haven't even touched it, and I think they dropped Rise
Damn.
too. So yeah, I don't know. Monster Hunter. I played so many Monster Hunter games that I really am kind of over it a little bit, to be honest.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Do you know any other games that use like that have like obnoxious DLC items?
Um, I don't know. I mean, it's probably ones that I've like forgotten about. Like I don't know. Like I'm sure there was definitely something in Skyrim like that, but I have no clue.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Um.
I do remember
Yeah.
that bug in Skyrim with the book where you could get all your stuff to level 11 by just spamming that one book, or level
I don't remember
100
that.
by just spamming the one book. Yeah, there was some book that would like it would just upgrade like any skill that you choose, and I think you had to like do some save glitch where you like the book was supposed to be one time use, but you could just keep using it over and over again. I don't know.
Hmm.
It was crazy. It was weird. It was
I remember
some 2011 stuff.
you used to be able to craft like 100,000 iron daggers to just level up
Yeah,
blacksmithing.
yeah, I did that. I remember that.
And then they actually gave like leveling purpose. You know what's
Yeah.
weird about that game? I did legitimately try to play Skyrim pretty vanilla and level up. Like I tried to level up smithing
Hmm.
and I realized that it's like almost like a RuneScape kind of grinding in a game that it doesn't really feel satisfying to grind for. What I would do is just run through the dwarven mine, grab the scrap, melt it down, make bars, craft it, and then repeat that.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself like, why would I? Is it even worth grinding this? Because it's gonna take me like 3 hours to do this. Why would I not just like cheat in a level at this point for this? But that's a
Yeah.
slippery slope, right? Like cheat. I mean, I think it's just because it's so easy to cheat in Skyrim, but I don't have that issue with other games. Like I'm okay grinding for things in other games. I just think Skyrim just felt almost like pointless. The grind almost felt like baby's first
Yeah.
grind and wasn't interesting to do.
I think for me the problem is that there isn't enough reward as you're grinding. Because I think in Skyrim there were just too many levels for everything.
Yeah, I could see
So like
that.
stuff was actually just like super spread out, I feel like.
Yeah, there's certain things like what is the point of even bothering?
Yeah.
Like the smithing, it's like it's cool, you can get the best armor in the game. But those games always have like adaptive difficulty where it's like the stronger you get, the stronger the enemies get. So what's the point?
I also feel like one thing that actually annoys me with a lot of progression systems is they'll be like, "Yeah, you level this thing up to to get better armor or get better like weapons and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, cool. And then some games, it's like, okay, well, actually, you need to spend points in this that you would otherwise be spending on your build. So if you want to actually play the end game, you got to pay the end game tax. I'm
Oh,
like,
by the
sheesh.
way, I have no patience for games that don't have respecking in them.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Games, every game, especially single player games, you should be able to respec as much as you want. Like add a penalty, make it cost some in-game money or make it cost something, but not limit it. Like I honestly really don't like the fact that some of the FromSoft games that did eventually allow respecking, they limited it.
Mm-hmm.
I think in Elden Ring you can grind. Oh, there's at least I know there's like 16 or something respecs in one playthrough too. So like there's a lot.
Yeah.
Like you won't really need to use them all, but still like I hate feeling like I put a point into a skill and I can't respec it. And also,
Yeah.
here's the deal too. Like I want to try out if a game doesn't allow respecking, I'm not gonna want to try out new builds and like try things. I'm going to look online and follow like a guide because I'm too nervous to put points into things. Because
Mm-hmm.
some games you can just have a bad character that just you just are screwed. I think a lot of more recent games are adding respecking in them though, which is nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the last game that I played that really annoyed me with the respecting thing was actually Cyberpunk because you can respec
I
your
was thinking about that
skills,
too.
but you can't respec your attributes. And
Mhm.
attributes are basically the things that get you farther in the individual skill trees.
Mhm.
And I understand they want it to be like, oh, it's role playing, right? Like I'm a guy who's good with my fists but not good with tech, but it's like, well, I'm in endgame now and I literally need tech to play the game.
Yeah. See, there's kind of an issue with that because
Mhm.
I get it, and I made a character in Cyberpunk. My first character, a male V street kid. I did hacking, which was a
Mhm.
mistake because hacking is boring. You play one
Oh yeah.
dumb mini game over and over again, and you don't play the game. It's really, honestly, really stupid and bad.
Mhm.
But it led me to do the Pan Am, minor spoilers, the Pan Am romance quest line, which I thought was actually pretty nice, and I got that cool
Yeah.
ending with that. Um, and I liked the roleplay aspect, like, I liked my dialogue options with the smart V, and you can do smart things and be handy, but
Mhm.
I wanted to play, like, melee character, so I tried to make a new character, which I might do at some point, but it's like, "Oh, can I respec my V?" And it's like, "Well, yeah, but then he wouldn't be the same person," is the
Yeah.
thing. Because the dialogue options are based on your traits, like you're saying, like,
Mhm.
I can respec from being smart hacker guy, but would it make sense for me to now be brutish, like, strength guy? Yeah, but I'm the same person. Like, it would be weird.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't know. Hacking, did you try hacking? Let's talk about Cyberpunk for a bit. Did you
Um
try the hacking stuff in that game?
yes, after I had basically done everything I wanted in the game, I used a mod to respec my attributes. And I
Oh,
did some
okay.
hacking. Yeah, I got bored of it really quick.
Yeah, that was my full playthrough, was just
Man.
pressing tab and clicking on people and playing the
Yeah.
mini game. It was so
Oh
boring.
god. I
It
hate how
was
the game
such a bad
I hate how the
choice.
game uh like in the tutorial and stuff it directs you to the one you have to hold instead of the one you can toggle for that menu.
Which what do you mean?
Like the hacking menu thing.
Oh, I don't even remember.
Yeah, like the
Um,
like I think tab you had to hold in. There was another button where it was toggle, and they just don't tell you about the toggle one unless
oh
you
my
look in the
god.
keybinds.
The amount of time I spent in security cameras tagging people and like individually hacking them. And then I would walk into the base and then one person would spot me anyway, so it didn't matter.
Man.
That game I wish I did respec and try to do like a melee build.
Mhm.
Um And honestly, any other build just seemed way more fun because you're running around, flying around, doing crazy stuff. Stealth, I think stealth in games is never fun, to be honest.
Yeah,
I've
I
never
didn't
enjoyed it.
I didn't find the stealth in Cyberpunk nearly as satisfying as I thought I would.
Yeah. Is there any stealth games you actually enjoy?
Uh, Not that I've played.
Yeah, I mean, Metal Gear is awesome,
Yeah, I've
and
heard Metal Gear is
stealth
good.
stealth is cool in those games, kind of, I guess.
Mhm. I think
Um,
Splinter Cell is decent stealth.
No, those games, yeah, they have cool like darkness meters
Yeah.
and like those are probably like games that are designed around stealth
Mhm.
can be fun. Any stealth mechanic in a game is always so bad. Like I'm
Mhm.
playing Persona 5 right now and it's not bad. The stealth this game actually suffers from two of the things we were talking about. It does have a bunch of weird DLC that
Mhm.
appeared at the beginning of the game, so it gives you like a million DLC items which are just strange.
Yeah.
Um and then also it has the thing of yeah, there's stealth. You can sneak around the enemies, and it's like, okay, maybe this is relevant on harder difficulties because you actually don't want to get into fights. But I just
Yeah.
run up and get into every single fight with the XP. Like I don't care.
Mhm.
Um, the stealth is very superficial and kind of phoned in.
Yeah.
Um, I think a lot of games, you know, a lot of games have that phoned in stealth. Um, you know what? Sly Cooper. Those games kind of have fun-ish stealth. The
Sly
the
Cooper.
raccoon games on PS2.
Man, you mean the ones they don't make anymore? Thanks.
Well, they do actually weirdly make them. Like they made a fourth game that was okay. And I think
Really?
they're
I
making
heard
something else.
nothing about the fourth game.
Yeah, it's called like about. I played it, so I was a huge fan of those games, and then I played some of the fourth game. It's like a time travel game, and it's like
That's where all those classic PS2 games go
they
in like
really
their
all
modern
did.
versions. Yeah.
They all
Like
did.
I actually remember I heard
Crash
like
did.
God, when did they even announce Sly Cooper for? Like 2008? Like I heard
Yeah,
that got
it
delayed
was a
like
PS3 Vita game. It was
yeah,
a
I heard that
PS3
got
slash
delayed like a
Vita game.
billion times and I just thought it never came out.
They were gonna have like a Netflix show at one point or
Oh
something,
my
and it
god.
just didn't work out. I think they're making another one, but the problem is Sly 4, from the little bit I've played, kind of 3 has like a lot of spirit to it. Like 1, I think is probably the best in terms of it's a simpler game. It's the most different. It is like a classic. 2, I think people don't like as much. I haven't really played that much of 2. 3,
Mhm.
I really enjoyed 3. There was a lot of that going on the PS2 where the first game's a classic, the second game's
Yeah.
okay, and the third game is like the weird like they're trying something new, but it's kind of a banger, like Ape Escape
Yeah.
3 and Spyro 3 on PS1, like they're trying new things, but they're kind of a banger.
And I think Jack and Daxter was kind of like that too.
Yeah, that's a weird 3. That's where like
Yeah.
it's rated T and they say damn and stuff.
they say they say heck.
Yeah, I had to return. So I bought my parents, or I think my grandma bought me that game, and I played it in front of them. And he says like hell, and they made me return the game. Yeah,
Oh man.
yeah, yeah. Oh, Jack
uh,
3, and then Jack Racing. Every game
oh
also had
my
a racing
god.
game.
They just
Bring
made
back
all of
kart
them do
racers.
racing. They thought they were Mario.
The only racer that people like really mess with is Crash Team Racing. Still, like
Yeah.
that's the one that caught on.
Yeah.
That game apparently slaps.
Remember when they tried to revive Twisted Metal and they did like a
Which time?
the last one like I think it was like a PS3 one?
I
Like
mm,
I
I
can't
don't
remember,
know.
but like I think they had like DLC where there was like other PlayStation characters in it. I feel like I remember that. I don't know if I'm like I don't know if that was a dream that I had as a kid, but I feel like I remember like all these like dark twisted metal characters, and then there's this Crash Bandicoot just goofing around in there.
Amazing. Yeah, I
Oh
never
man,
got into those games at all either.
yeah,
I don't care about the things about me is like sports don't really care for
hmm
cars, don't really care for at least in video games. Like
yeah,
I don't really like actually that's kind of a lie. If I had a driving wheel and like a pedal setup with like the full like a fully immersive with VR
oh yeah.
and
You're
like
just,
the
you're just literally in a
vibration,
car.
I would love that. I would actually
Yeah,
probably enjoy that. That and Truck Simulator, like I would probably mess with that.
hmm
Um but just I'm not gonna play with a mouse and keyboard or like I'm not gonna just sit there with a controller and play any of those games. I would want the
yeah,
full immersive experience.
yeah,
And like same with Flight Simulator, like that would probably be fun if I had like a full flight rig and all that. Um, but yeah, that's so specialized for those
yeah.
games. Same thing with rhythm games. We talk about rhythm games all the time. I've complained about them enough
Oh yeah.
and how expensive all the peripherals are.
hmm
But yeah, and I guess talking about my week before we get to questions, I've been playing Overwatch 2 a
Mhm.
lot more as my like couple minutes long game. Just grinding quick play. I've been playing Hanzo a ton just to try to get good at this character.
Mhm.
Um, I think I'm actually getting pretty okay at the character.
Pog.
Uh, yeah, he's fun. I don't know, just shooting. Something about him is it's cool to like be a glass cannon, like getting those insta kills and whatever.
Yeah.
Um, I don't have too much to say. Maybe I'll dip my toe into competitive if I feel uh good enough at the game.
Mhm.
Um, the thing is, the only reason I really even want to play competitive is to get competitive points to get golden skins. Like I don't really care
Yeah.
about the gameplay of competitive. Um,
God, every time I hear somebody talk about DPS in Overwatch, I just remember that they're trying to make a melee DPS character work. I just have this image of a dude just walking up like literally just Genji ult, just walking up, wiping your team, and then somebody just screaming about how they had to do all these hours of aim training and stuff just for this guy to instant kill them.
well, don't worry, they already have Brig in the game, who was a DPS for a while.
Man.
Um, and it was terrible. And also, yeah, I do feel that way playing against Moira. And I know
Mhm.
Moira is like the is a good character for bad people and a I've played a lot of Moira. Moira's fun. Moira can kill people. You don't have to aim. She's a good console character too. 'Cause you literally do not have to aim at all, and your range is insane. You just
Mhm.
drain health, you life steal, you can heal yourself, you can fly around. She's not that good because she doesn't really have any utility for a team. Like if you're
Yeah.
actually trying to play the game, she's not really a good pick. Like you would rather have someone who has more complicated. But when you're playing quick play and you're playing like Hanzo and I'm trying to like shoot people, I'm not mechanically good enough right now to like always kill Moira who's just holding like left click on me.
Mhm.
Um or right click or whatever. So that's kind of the issue where it's like I need to get better so I can insta kill people like as
Mhm.
Hanzo. But right now, while I'm still learn, like I'm not a god and can't land every shot, so I just sit there while this person literally puts in zero effort and just kills me. And I
Yeah.
played Moira, so I'm gonna shit on Moira because I played a ton of Moira and like climbed ranks or whatever when she came out. She's stupid, and I get I get it's good to have her in the game. I guess not everyone needs to be like super aim intensive, but it
Yeah.
does feel bad when you're trying to like aim and they don't have to do anything. And
Yeah.
again, as someone who's played a lot of Moira, yeah, you don't have to do anything.
Yeah, when I was playing Overwatch a few weeks ago, just for just to play some soldier. I remember I had a really good spot, and this Moira just walks up to me. I'm like, oh, I'll just kill her, and I'm shooting like two clips into her. I'm like, wow, she's just not
She life
dying.
steals
And
you
then I
and
finally like
puts
win
you
a
to
trade, and
orb
she just
fill.
teleports away, and I'm like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah, that I think it gets solved. The better you are at DPS, it kind of solves itself. Like if I as Hanzo, I can one shot her,
hmm
especially if he's close. Just headshot. Sometimes it
yeah,
can be difficult, and you panic. It's more of a matter of it'll become less annoying the better I get,
hmm
because that's the problem with Moira is like the skill ceiling is a floor. Um,
yeah,
there's nowhere to go. Like, and you have no utility. Like, there's nowhere to go
yeah,
from you can very easily just master the character, and then there's nothing. There's no like upward ability there. So
hmm
I can't get too annoyed. It is annoying in quick play when you die to it, but I can't be too mad about it. Is the
yeah,
thing. Overwatch continues to be pretty fun. Um,
hmm
I've been playing a lot of Persona 5 Royale on PC. I'm clocking around maybe 80 hours or something in that game, or 50, 60 hours.
damn,
Uh, P4 was like 90 to 100 hours, so I'm
hmm
assuming this game's going to be about 90 hours. Um, yeah, it's really good. Um,
hmm
I'm starting to get bored of the combat, which the combat has never been really a staple of these games. It's the best it's ever been uh, in Persona 5, but it's JRPG combat, it's like Pokemon style this element is weak to this with
Mhm.
some twists, and it's okay, like fighting things. The part that I enjoy is the S links and the talking to people and the story. Just there are
Yeah.
nights where I'm playing the game and for like 80 minutes or not 80 minutes, like for like a full hour, I'm just watching like a fully voiced cutscene and have it on autoplay, and it's just like I'm watching an anime. And they just have anime cutscenes too
Remember how they just
appear.
made an anime for that game?
Yeah, both games do.
Yeah.
Persona 4 and 5 and 5 4 has like an additional like golden version whatever.
Mhm.
Um yeah, yeah, no, those games are cool. It's really good. It's probably on sale right now with Golden Week. Actually, Sega games are on sale. If you haven't played any of them, you should try one of them.
Yeah,
Probably.
I did play Persona 5 a while back on
Oh,
my
did you beat
on my
it?
PS4. No, I didn't beat it.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
remember how far I got, but I did play a decent amount, maybe like uh 20, 30 hours. I
Oh,
don't
nice.
remember.
Well, all the games are on sale right now on PC, so
Mhm.
5 and 3 and whatever and
Yeah,
4.
since my PS4 is broken, I probably should try to get it. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say if you play 5, I mean, here's the deal, right? Problem is if you play 5, 5 is the most recent and the most like so much quality of life. So it is
Yeah.
so like it is so accessible, and then 4 is like okay, it's not as quality of life. Like it's going to be a little bit rough, and then 3 is going to be the most rough
Yeah.
to get into cuz it's yeah. Um
Mhm.
But I guess maybe my thought process is like if you enjoy 5 enough, you'll go back for 4 and then 3.
Yeah.
But I started with 4, um, and I really liked 4 a lot. Well, actually, I started with 3, and I actually didn't like 3 at
Mhm.
first because it was too like I didn't understand the systems and it was too like unuser friendly, and there was no definitive way to play it. Um, then I played 4 and got addicted, and playing 5, and I'll probably play 3 at some point.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, those games are good. They're worth checking out. Um, yeah, so I guess let me think. Yeah, that's pretty much all my gaming going on. We could probably talk about some questions now. If you have a question, you can email us at hyep podcast@gmail.com. That is hyep podcast@gmail.com. Let me know you exist, people. I check the
Let me
numbers.
know
This
you
podcast
exist.
does do numbers sometimes, depending on how clickbait our title is. Um, it does do numbers, so hit us up with any questions or stories or whatever you want to do. But we're gonna go to that.
Yeah.
We'll defer to the AI for some questions right now. All right. Let's see. Let's. What do you think is the next big thing in gaming? Which is such a
Oh my
broad
oh
question.
my god, that's uh
The next big thing.
I don't know, man.
I
I'm
want
not
to.
gonna
I want to think VR in a way, but it's not adopted. I think VR becomes huge. Honestly, VR probably won't even be that big in gaming. It'll probably be more in like social, like VR chat style, like chat rooms and the social thing about computers.
Yeah, you know what's really funny about that? So I was gonna say VR, but then I remembered like 6 years ago when I told one of my relatives that I was gonna be majoring in game design, he said like, "Yeah, you know, I hope you get into VR. That's the next big thing." And I'm like 6 years later, I'm like, "Yeah, we're still saying that." Yeah, sure.
I think AR is probably augmented reality is probably
Yeah.
more the next big thing.
Hmm.
Um, and that again, that's not even in gaming. I think more so in everyday life we're going to be using it more. I do think VR will probably become more widespread and adopted the smaller and the more convenient the technology is.
I think also the
Um,
less expensive
yeah, less
is definitely
expensive,
gonna be
more
part of it.
convenient. Just I think it'll be adopted more. I don't know for gaming, but like I do see it's going to be probably used a lot for like virtual events and streaming and social
Hmm.
things. Um, Gaming. What's the next big game? I guess Battle Royale took the world by storm. I wonder what I mean if we could predict what the next trend is, we'd be like millionaires.
Yeah, I find it really
But
interesting. You know, I think So it's not that the BR trend has died down, but you see a lot less new BRs. I think it's kind of gonna go the way of the MOBA, where there's like the few that'll figure out how to make it work, and then the
Mhm.
rest are just gonna be like, okay, we'll just move on to something else.
Yeah, Apex, Fortnite.
Yeah, it's basically like Apex, Fortnite. I guess PUBG and Warzone. I hear they're doing well. I see they're always doing like these collabs. But like, first of all, I know very few people that play them, and the people that do play them always talk about how like so obviously with these kind of games, right? Lots of the fan base talks about how bad it is. But the way that they talk about it, I feel like is different because I have a direct comparison in the genre with Apex, and I'm like, wow, Apex just doesn't have that issue. Like, I literally I cannot relate to that.
Skill issue.
Yeah, it's like, have you tried picking a better game?
Oof. I actually, you know what? I do think the Tarkov model and the that's kind of like a micro. It's like a shoot off of battle royale, and it's kind of like a micro trend, like Dark and Darker. If that game ever actually does come out, now that the lawsuits,
Hmm.
um, Dark and Darker, Hunt Showdown, Tarkov, like the drop in with some. You know what? I think hybrid PvP PvE might have a future because a lot of people are more casual when they play games. Like even Overwatch 2 is supposed to get that PvE mode at some point.
Yeah.
And I do think I could spend a lot more time playing Overwatch 2 if I had a separate mode where I'm like grinding out some looter shooter PvE stuff with my stats, and I could like
Hmm.
if I could grind out some looter shooter stuff, maybe get some unique skins from playing PvE and then use them in the PvP. Like I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Um,
You know, now I'm thinking about it, what I want to be the next trend is less FPS, please. I think that'd be great. I think like, unironically, I think that there's a big oversaturation of FPS now.
Unless it's Team Fortress 3, even though that game
Yeah.
will probably be like a hero shoot. Like that game will honestly, if they did make a Team Fortress 3, it would be disgusting and have a battle pass and skins and like, you
Yeah.
don't want it, honestly. People think they want it, they probably don't actually want it.
Yeah, but
Um
like I think people talk about like, oh, all these games are like boring nowadays and stuff, and I'm like, it's because they're all FPS games. Like there's only
well,
so much you can. I think there's only so much you can do with the FPS genre, and I think that also it's very it is a little stagnant right now in my opinion. Like
yep.
that's why you see so many of these like hero shooters and stuff is because they're literally just trying to dip into like the things that would just work better in a different genre. To be honest.
Yeah, I think competitive. It really feels like giant games as a service games, and competitive and infinite money trend, like infinite money games,
Hmm.
are the current trend. And I mean, there's no real incentive to make single player games.
Yeah, I do want to
So
see more. You were talking about like hybrid PvP slash PvE. I want to see, and this is going to sound weird, a competitive co-op game with a high skill cap.
that'd be fun, like
That sounds really
competitive,
cool.
overcooked, like team v team.
Yeah, it's like stuff like that, like something that can like attract people and like keep them there for a long time. I think that like we obviously had that Among Us trend. Like people obviously like even beyond like just COVID, people do want to have like those type of interactions. And I think like it'd be, or I guess like more they want like more like social interactions that aren't exclusively competitive, right? So I think that like having more co-op games could dip into that a little bit. I I also do think that like as you said, like PvP PvE mixture, but I'm trying to think of like how to word this. I guess more PvE being what builds up to the PvP instead of having PvP be like almost a random encounter at times. So it's like
Yeah.
maybe a more controlled environment.
Well, a lot of games like Destiny 2 had a lot of modes like that. There was a lot of PvE, PvP hybrid.
Hmm.
There was a lot of like crossover. Um, I also think that maybe we'll start to see the rise of making user created content games. We haven't seen a lot of like Little Big Planet and
Yeah.
those kind of games recently. And I think also with the rise of VR in terms of people having their own like VR spaces, I think people are going to start making things that they can make their own experiences in VR. I think the drop of Sandbox, the Gary's Mod sequel, if that game's either gonna kind of like come out with like meh, people don't really care about it, or it's gonna be like the next big thing and really be
Mhm.
popular. And we'll probably get the next big game out of that game. You know, like the next
Yeah.
big game mode craze will come out of one of these like it'll come out of one of these workshops, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it'll be some random game mode that some user makes.
Yeah.
Um but I think that sandbox games like the reason games like like a Roblox are so addicting to like kids is just that like constant new games and new experiences to play. And I think Gary's Mod is like somewhat the more grown up version of that. And I believe the sandbox game will probably be the next step. And if that game also utilizes Source 2 and VR, I think there's going to be a lot that comes out of it. We'll see. We'll see though.
Mhm.
If people, it's just you got to get people to make stuff. People have to be excited
Yeah.
to make things in it, and I think people will. Um,
Mhm.
we'll see. I think
Oh,
that's a podcast.
wait, actually, one more thing.
Yep.
Co-op roguelikes. I want more.
Oh, there's a game called Streets of Rogue. We should try that
Ooh,
sometime. It's
that
co-op.
does sound cool.
It's really cheap. Streets of Rogue. It's a game where apparently they're making a sequel too. But
Oh
it's a
yeah, I should see it.
game, yeah, where you steal stuff and do things. There's like a billion characters, and they all
Mhm.
have different abilities. It's like you can, it's like a top-down shootery thing, and you break into places and steal things, and yeah, it's
Mhm.
co-op. There's a couple games that are co-op roguelikes, but yeah, those are fun. Yeah, let's just call it. We'll call it a night for now.
Yep.
All right. I'm Matt, aka Matt Fondude. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube at Matt Fondude. I'll probably stream maybe this weekend. Get back into Silent Hill 2. It's been like 3 weeks, which is crazy. I
Pog.
gotta stream more, but I'm busy.
All right, and I'm James, aka James04E. Find me on the Twitches, the Twitters, and the YouTubes.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Good night.